Well, ladies and gentlemen, again, my name is C. Marie Williams. So I am the Chief Visionary Officer of the Purpose Broker LLC. I'm a transformational millennial speaker and consultant, and I do events as well. So everything I do is evolved around purpose. You know, I believe that our purpose is the success that never runs out. Here in America, we're so focused always on just sort of being success, but that's somebody else's definition. You know, purpose is our particular assignment in this world. And so my job is to really move us from the boundaries in front of us to our purpose on the other side. Before I get into a few statistics about homelessness and why the less than $50 that you have spent to be here tonight makes the world of a difference, I want to tell you a little bit about what grace and mercy has done for me in my life. Is that okay? Thank you. So, as a child, I used to do this thing, and I know you all are going to think I'm weird and crazy for this, and I know you all probably had normal childhoods. So you won't understand this, but just hear me out. I used to have unfair expectations of my mother. Like I said, I know you all wouldn't understand that. I know that, you all were perfect children, and but I used to have unfair expectations of my mother. You see, I don't know about you all, but my mother gave me life. She actually did. So at times, if I messed up, or if I didn't like something maybe that she wore to take the time to come pick me up from school and get my friends, or if my parents got in an argument, I just began to think, well, if mom was only a bit more this, only a bit more that, maybe I, as a free-willed, independent human being, right, would have done something a little bit differently. Maybe if mom had did this, her and dad wouldn't have gotten in a certain argument. And sometimes I would accidentally voice in different ways, basically, that she wasn't enough for me. See, that's basically what you're doing when someone who forgives you for everything can't be forgiven. When someone who loves you through everything has to have conditions. When someone who accepts and upholds everything about your entire image and who you are has to endure skepticism. Sometimes when we're created from or in the image of or likeness of a being, whenever we begin to have doubts about ourselves, whenever we have fears, insecurities, facing our battles or wrong choices, we can start to question our existence, which leads us to questioning and finding fault with the one who created us. I'm going somewhere with this. And how our imperfection or fear is a reflection of them, and why they couldn't create the perfect fairy tale for us that we're consuming every day in the images and mass media and TV of all the perfect families, the beautiful, perfect people with the perfect histories unlike our own. Has anybody ever cast their identity conflicts while coming of age in this world on a parent? Anybody? How about the parent whose womb you traveled through to enter this universe? By a show of hands, has anybody dissed and doubted the ultimate creator before? Anybody? Nobody else's childhood had cancer. Nobody else's marriage had these problems. Why did you put the perpetrator in our home? If I just would have been provided these things and these tools and these relatives from you in my life journey, I could have been the success you created me to be. Left side of the room. Which side is the left? This side. Left side of the room say but grace. Right side of the room say but mercy. Middle side say but God. Somebody say but mama. A conversation that I won't forget having with my mom is when I was in about the 10th grade. She told me, sometimes you only know as much as you know. And you grow when you learn and decide to do more and better with what you've learned. She said, I'm doing my best even while parenting and running a home to create the relationship and openness with you that I didn't have growing up. She told me I stopped blaming my mother for only knowing what she knew and just decided I was here to do even greater. But I still can't and won't be perfect for you. I am a human being and I am learning and growing too. And thank God for her human beingness, because it was her arms that I ran back to when it felt like my besties had turned their backs on me over a guy. It was her that wiped tears and told me to get up and hold my head high and finish my semester, because this is all a part of a story that I will tell one day. And that she sees me as I am, not some bump in the road, some detour on the path, but truly who I'm created to be. It was her who held my brother, someone who was once dismissive of and accusatory of her while high. It was her who held him without breaking down in front of him as he told her something that no parents would ever want to hear happen to their child. My brother told my dad and me, and we all love him and each other deeply, that he couldn't have shared what he did to anyone in the entire world but my mom. I believe that the reason my brother isn't homeless or dead today is because of my mother and her love. Mom, thank you for getting a plane ticket to come all the way down to Houston today and for being a reflection of God's grace and mercy. Isn't it great that God's love, when shared amongst human beings through powerful tools like grace and mercy, can give us redemptive power, second chances, new days, more opportunities, the chance to be sitting here fully clothed, fully fed. I can't wait to eat, by the way. Fully clothed, fully fed, fully in a mental and emotional state that we can receive and transpire messages. How many of you know that some of us had good parents? Some of us were shown grace and mercy, and we didn't have to experience other people looking down on us. We don't have to experience what it's like to be out on the streets and not think that anybody cares enough to come back and get you and say that you are somebody, you have a second chance of life, and that somebody cares about you. Many of us have the great privilege to be sitting here today because of grace and mercy, which is the name of this foundation. Why was Cheryl, thank you, why was Cheryl Francis form an organization called Grace and Mercy, though? For a group of people who, in this society, many people think get enough handouts. Let me tell you a few things that I've heard people say about the homeless. I live downtown, just in preparing for this speech. Some of them make $70,000 and are pretending to be homeless. Some of them need to get off of their lazy fannies and go back to the job that they have. I know that you've heard many of these alternative facts, as I would like to call them, over and over again. But let me give you a few better research ones. According to the Education and Advocacy Center, greendoors.org, on any given night, there are at least 643,067 people experiencing homelessness in America. That's any given night. Unofficial estimates of total homelessness throughout our year range from 1.6 million to 3.5. Now, about that majority of people being lazy, let me break down who these people are. 25% suffer from mental illness, including schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and depression. 17% are considered chronically homeless, a disabling condition, and that they've been homeless continuously for at least a year or more. 13% are fleeing domestic violence. 12% are our veterans. So if you add 25 plus 17 plus 13 plus 12, that's 67%. That's nearly 70%, overwhelming majority, who may not have had grace coming from a home, from coming back from home from a war, trying to integrate back in society. They may have not had enough mercy trying to stand on their own feet after years being battered in a domestic situation. They may have not had enough grace or mercy when they were let go at work for not trying hard enough when facing a depression or bipolar and trying to use the last of their vacation days just to be still at home in bed. Or who felt all grace and mercy was lost when they were thrown into jail. Thrown into jail and dealing with psychosis when they needed to be in a therapeutic center. So I told you about the 70%. Let's get to the other 30% of the lazy people who still deserve our grace and mercy. They may not have had a mama who was able to withstand the trials and tribulations of raising a child in this day, time, and cost of living with unconditional love like you and me. They may not have had a dad who did his absolute best to provide love and coach through every tough situation with some mercy like you and me. They may not have had either, because young adults who have recently been emancipated or aged out of the foster care system are at the highest risk of homelessness throughout their lives. Single parent families now are at risk of experiencing homelessness at least once in their lives. And today, more of the working poor are falling into poverty and homelessness than ever before. The working poor. So who knows that it could be you or me or somebody that we know who may just be one check away from a government shutdown and not knowing where to go. No, I know that there are many of us who doubt the worthiness and the work ethic of homelessness. And I know that some of these people think that they pull themselves up like their own bootstraps and that they never had any grace, they never had any mercy, they never had any forgiveness, and they never had a leg up. But anytime you run into that person, I want you to give them this number: 2,483,539. That's the amount of children in the most advanced nation in the world today that are homeless. Children. And children who are homeless are the most vulnerable in our society. They are the most often abused, raped, sold into sex slavery, developing mental illnesses. So it begins there. Perhaps we need some institutions in this society that aren't just focusing on how to love things and use people. We need some places who have grace and mercy at the crux of their foundation, the way that we've had it at the turning points of our lives to be standing here today. The Grace and Mercy Charitable Foundation has 2 buildings and 2 locations, one in Lodi, California, and one in Houston, Texas, where the founder and president, Cheryl Francis, is from and extends her organization to address the dire needs of this city. Grace and Mercy provides food, clothing for potential job seekers, everyday wear for men, women, and children. They provide haircuts. They have a fully staffed soup kitchen and are able to provide food and supplies to over 100 charities that share their mission. Somebody say amen. Amen. Last, and I researched just to make a point about how true they are to their mission. They didn't start doing this during the recent storm because, as you all know, in this social media age, a lot is done for shares. Grace and Mercy Foundation, since its inception, has been opening doors whenever there's inclement weather to make sure their clients, on their website, they don't call them homeless repeatedly, they call them clients, to make sure that their clients have warmth and humanity. So in conclusion, as we approach a time where Texas is seeing more women and children enter the homeless population than ever in our state's history, I want to remind you all of something that wise woman I told you about shared with me earlier in life. She said, don't put too much blame on yourself. We all need time to understand the meaning of things and what we have experienced. So I say to you, don't put too much blame on the homeless for their plights and situations. We may not understand what they have experienced or for how long, but we can share in the common thread of humanity and we can heal through the divine practice ordained to us all of grace and mercy. Thank you so much.